an understanding of how this system of medicine is working. One is the whole commercial medical system is very keen on government programs of medicine. And this includes medical insurance. The reason for this is quite simple. They would like to sell to a single governmental window a large amount of drugs. Right? So if you have a vaccine, if you can say, for cervical cancer, we need to vaccinate the whole country. Right? All the women are at risk. Okay? Then the company that makes this cervical cancer vaccine has made it for life. The population of India is not a small number, and if the government buys it from them, then that it is the biggest commercial success. So there is a vested interest even from commercial medicine to retaining the governmental form of medical practice. We're seeing this also in this big battle that took place between the health minister, or she wasn't the health minister at that point, but she was women's welfare minister, about giving nutritional supplements for school lunches. So the idea was that you have a biscuit in which you put all the vitamins and you put all the trace elements that you require, and some calcium and something else, and you said you give this biscuit in the school lunch program, and the argument was that it's much more efficient, it's clean, it can be delivered, there's so many problems with the hot food. So you were able to replace the idea of food with the idea of nutrition. Okay? And nutrition can be sold as a package. And if the government buys your package of nutrition, you know what the scale of the profits are. But there are other forms as well in which we're looking at the statist form of clinical medicine. And you can think about it as, I was interviewing the head of Apollo Hospitals for this paper, and he was very pleased to be interviewed by me. Let me tell you, he felt that an academician coming to interview him, he had really made it in life. And he said that he claimed that something called the whole body test was what he had invented and which was now being exported world over. This was India's contribution to world medicine. Now, doctor friends of mine who I trust tell me never go for a whole body test. Number one, never go, some of the more radical ones will say to you, for any diagnostic kind of testing, which is like to preclude everything. Now every year you're supposed to go and get yourself checked out. Nothing is wrong with you, they say don't go. Okay? Don't go and invent a disease for yourself. So what about whole body testing? Now you know that if a motor car garage says free test for your car, and you take your car and you think very nice, they check it out and I can find out what's wrong with it. They are bound to find 10 things wrong with it which they can fix. Okay? And if you go in for a whole body test, let me guarantee every person in this room that you will find something wrong with you. Right? And preferably you will find some chronic problem wrong with you. It may be that you're too tall or you're too short. Some chronic problem wrong with you for which you will have to stay on medicine all your life. And for which you will have to keep coming back to use the testing machines and all of this whole paraphernalia that there is, all right? And you can even, when one is dying, today you have to pay a death tax to the corporate hospital because there's no other way that you can peacefully pass away unless your relatives are really, really strong and insist that they will give you a death of dignity. So we're seeing how the corporate privatized, apparently highly individualized medical system is feeding off and connecting with the earlier state-led, state-formed, administratively structured health system. And this is one part of my argument. There is a continuity between the new corporate health and the old state. So that saying as health activists, we should be going back to the state-led health system, then there are two problems with it. One is that system didn't deliver very well, and the second is we're still in it despite the fact that we're buying it with private money rather than with state supported money. So that's one of the arguments I'm making, that there is, all medicine is actually administratively structured, and that administrative structure of medicine, the state structure of governmental or state structure of medicine, actually feeds into the convenience or the easy way in which it translates into the market format. The second argument that I'm making here is somewhat related, and that argument is that the state format of medicine, the governmental format of medicine, is now so deeply established that it is embedded in the structure of medical knowledge itself. The structure of medical knowledge is a governmental structure. Now, there's a problem always in making sweeping statements like that, and it's like as though, okay, we have now this governmental medicine, and there's nothing you can do about it. What calamity is it? However, one of the things that makes it possible for us, one of the things that becomes possible when we think about it in this way, is also to think about how did work change, or how is it possible to think about transforming the system. We spent a lot, the group that I was working with were partly doctors. There were half of them were doctors working in a big medical college, hospital, so they were medical educators as well as practitioners. And the rest of us were feminists, social scientists, cultural theorists, that kind of group of people who were interacting between these two. And when we came up against this thing, the doctor said, you know, your analysis is so depressing. It's as if everything we're doing is shit. It's as if, you know, we can't have no actual relationship with our patients, and then everything, you know, it's like feminists say everything is corrupted by patriarchy, but does no one ever have any relationship with a man, and so on. Okay? So this is a very, very interesting philosophical question, that if you are in a structure, then how does one move that structure, or is the structure completely definitive? And we began to develop what I think is a very interesting theory of practice, which again connects with the work that Kamala was talking about, and which I found fascinating, and I would like Kamala to come and speak to us about it as well. We're always taking a structure and performing it in one way or the other. All of us. Think of the simplest example, a language. We know that language is a grammar, we know that there are also other kinds of grammars of gestures or body formations and so on that we all work with. But every time we get dressed in the morning to come and give a lecture here, there is a performance of all that grammar that is involved for you. And those of you who are theatre artists know that no performance is identical with the text. Yeah. That the text is there, but the performer does something else with the text. The performer doesn't lose track of the text, doesn't go away completely. Okay. But the demands of the performance are both larger and smaller than the text. So how does this map onto the question of medicine? The mapping is something like this. Medical knowledge is like a dramatic text, right? It's like the text of a play. And every doctor every medical practitioner is also performing that text. He's not just applying that text. It's not just medical knowledge that I studied in school or whatever it is and I bring it and I just, there is a